D News. I'm your host, Fian Ali with
Anand Sugo. So let's get right into the news. Our first news is from the science section. This news was by Science Daily and was made on January 25th, 2019. It revealed that researchers at LSTM and Imperial College London have designed drugs which could possibly combat and battle new flu epidemics which enter the cell by targeting and protecting the entry point to the human body. Since influenza is contagious, there have been many several epidemics in the past throughout the course of time. Now, researchers have decided to investigate this phenomenon further, and they found out that influenza mutates two key viral surface proteins, HA and NA. Both HA and NA target a sugar called sialic acid, which is found abundance in the receptor cells. Using this, the influenza virus gets contact into the human body, specifically the mammalian respiratory tract. And now this team has engineered an antibody for the virus to never come close to the human body. This drug also stops group B viruses. Now, this issue affects us because we get sick mostly every winter. Also, there are different diseases which could affect us. But now, with this drug, this is no more. Now, influenza, as well as other group B viruses, won't affect us anymore. Thus, people in third world countries, for example, won't die as much to these kind of viruses due to treatment. And this drug itself is very cheap. And now, to our next news.
the next news is from the subject of politics. The article released from Global News, released on January 25th, 2019, addresses the OSAP changes that have affected many students over the past week. For starters, OSAP is an aid for students who encounter many expensive debts from their education, in which OSAP can help them pay off their debts. The article states, dug for to reverse planned cuts for post-secondary education, leading to believe that many students are left with enormous amounts of debt that will be hard to pay off. The article also states the progressive conservative government's move to eliminate free tuition for low-income students. This is a major topic which affects those who have low income, which leads to conclude that most students won't have any money for a good quality of life.
As the article stated, Doug Ford plans to cut grants for university and college students. This affects all post-secondary students and parents. Even though OSAP has granted a percentage of the cost, most parents and students will have to pay more due to this change, because this change includes cutting grants from lower income families. In fact, there have been many petitions to stop this decision. And Auditor General also stated that a particular program jumped by 25% and had set to grow to $2 billion next year. This had shown many government officials that OSAP program was becoming unsustainable, and the only way to sustain the program was to help those students in financial needs. Moving on to our next article, which is going to be said by Safian Ali.
An article from Science Daily, released on January 25th, 2019, shows that static electricity may just have the power to charge your smartphones. An assistant professor at the University of Engineering in Buffalo named James Chen believed that finding how to charge our smartphones with static electricity can help companies make better and long-lasting batteries. Using the triboelectric effect, there have been already computer models created of triboelectric nanogenerators, which could have the potential to control and harvest static electricity One day, I believe that they can tap into any way of creating friction, from the friction created between your fingers and the touchscreen to the friction between the shoes and the ground. And now, on the subject of geography, we'll be presenting an article presented by Imam Duro.
From an article revealed by BBC News, stated that on January 25th, 2019, they revealed that CO2 levels in 2019 will be a tipping point where it was much larger than the previous years. From 1958, a research laboratory has been observing and recording the amount of CO2 levels in the air. And the years since it first started recording, the observatory has seen a 30% increase in the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere caused by fossil fuels and deforestation. Scientists argue that it would have been much larger without the ability of the forests, land, and seas, which soaked up around half of the gas emitted by human activities. However, in future, as the demand for land increases and pollution of water increases, CO2 will be much harder to battle. In the summer, CO2 levels in the atmosphere fall as the trees and plants soak up more of the carbon as they grow. In winter, when they drop the leaves, they soak up less and atmospheric levels rise.
However, as the temperature rises, so does the heat in the sea level, which warms this water and kills countless of organisms in places such as coral reefs. Around the world, this heat has different impacts. In some places, it's hotter and drier and you get more forest fires. In a tropical rainforest, for instance, you reduce the natural growth of vegetation, which affects not only the people living in that area, but also the animals who rely on the food to grow. According to the Met Office, these limits on the ability to absorb CO2 will see a rise in concentrations this year of 2.75 parts per million, which is getting higher than 2018.
This article affects us because there's usually at least 3 snowstorms a year. However, as this article stated, this will be much less, thus causing artificial snow, which ruins the environment. Moreover, in rainforests, vegetation decreases, which means people living in that area won't get enough food to live, thus causing deaths. And that is all for today. We'll see you next time on
The D News.